A billionaire real estate developer, Richard Ashford, swaggered into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom as if he owned the place. Draped in a custom Italian suit, worth more than most people's cars, a Rolex presidential glinting on his wrist that could pay someone's rent for a year, and flanked by an entourage waiting outside. Every detail screamed wealth and entitlement. The case should have taken 5 minutes, a simple red light camera violation, but from the moment he spoke, it was clear he believed the law didn't apply to him. "Let me save you some time," Ashford said, interrupting before the judge could begin. "How much is this going to cost me? I'll write a check right now, and we can both move on to more important things." Judge Caprio looked up slowly, unfazed. "Sir, this is a court proceeding, not a business transaction," he said. Ashford smirked, dismissive. "Everything's a business transaction, Your Honor. I own shopping malls, office buildings, hotels. I own people like you." The courtroom stiffened as the tension mounted. Monday morning, 9:45 a.m., Case 16,294. Richard Ashford, violation of a traffic control device. The red light camera captured his 2024 Bentley Continental rolling through Westminster and Waybos, just 1.3 seconds after the light turned red. Striding to the podium, not walking, Ashford exuded boredom, arrogance, and absolute certainty that his money put him above the law. His Hermes tie, polished shoes, and diamond cufflinks reflected the courtroom lights as Judge Caprio began. "Good morning, Mr. Ashford." "Morning," he replied, smirk intact, adding a jab. "No, Your Honor. Just morning, like their colleagues at a coffee shop." Caprio remained composed. "Mr. Ashford, you were cited for running a red light. The camera doesn't lie. Do you recall this incident?" Ashford glanced at his phone casually. "Not specifically. I drive through dozens of intersections daily, but I'm sure it happened." Caprio's calm authority contrasted sharply with Ashford's bravado, setting the stage for what would become one of the most unforgettable lessons in the courtroom. That wealth can never buy respect, and entitlement always meets its match when the law is in session. "So, how much do I owe?" Richard Ashford asked, reaching into his jacket and pulling out a leather checkbook. "Real checks, like it was 1985. Let's settle this, so I can get to my 10:30 meeting. I have investors flying in from Dubai, and they don't wait." Judge Caprio remained composed, his expression neutral, though a flicker of something, focus, patience, perhaps mild disbelief, crossed his eyes. "Mr. Ashford, this isn't about settling. This is a court hearing to determine." "With all due respect, Your Honor, I know how these things work," Ashford interrupted smoothly. "I ran a red light. I'm guilty. I'll pay the fine. Let's not waste each other's time with theater. You tell me the number, I write the check, and we move on." Caprio looked at him evenly. "Mr. Ashford, the fine for a red light violation is $85. Ashford laughed, a rich, genuine laugh that filled the courtroom. $85? "Your Honor, I spend more than that on lunch. Let me write you a check for $500. Consider it a donation to traffic safety, courthouse renovations, whatever." Judge Caprio's tone hardened. "Sir, I do not accept donations in lieu of following proper legal procedure." Ashford sighed, exasperated, as though dealing with an obstinate child. "Look, I understand you have a process, and I respect that. But I'm a businessman. Time is money. My time is worth roughly $12,000 an hour based on my company's revenue and my schedule. Every minute I stand here costs me $200. Can we expedite this?" Caprio's calm authority cut through the arrogance. "Mr. Ashford, your hourly rate does not change court procedure. Everything has a price, Your Honor. Everything. I've been negotiating my entire life. There's always a way to move things faster if you're willing to pay for efficiency," Ashford said, eyes sweeping the courtroom, expecting approval or awe. The gallery watched in growing discomfort. This man truly believed he could buy his way through justice. Judge Caprio set down his pen, his voice firm. "Mr. Ashford, this court does not operate on your timeline or your financial principles. We operate on the law. You will participate in this hearing like every other citizen who appears before me." Ashford's smirk faltered. "I'm not every other citizen, Your Honor. I employ over 2,000 people. I pay more in taxes in 1/4 than most people earn in a lifetime. I sit on 5 corporate boards and 3 charitable foundations. My company is worth $1.8 billion. I own people like you. The courtroom tensed as Caprio's gaze met Ashford's, a silent but palpable reminder that in this courtroom, wealth and power do not equate to privilege. I think that entitles me to a little flexibility in how we handle an $85 traffic ticket, Ashford said, his tone smug, leaning back as if the courtroom were his boardroom. Judge Caprio studied him carefully, unflinching. Mr. Ashford, your financial success is admirable. Your employment of 2,000 people is commendable. None of that, however, gives you special treatment in this courtroom. Ashford waved a hand dismissively. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for efficient treatment. There's a difference. Caprio's voice remained calm but firm. Efficient treatment is what everyone receives here. You're getting the same process as the person who came before you and the person who will come after you. Ashford's patience, thin as it was, snapped. Your Honor, do you know who I am? I don't mean that as arrogance. I mean it literally. Do you know what Ashford Development Corporation is? Caprio nodded. I'm aware of your company. Ashford leaned forward, voice rising with self-importance. Then you know I develop commercial real estate throughout New England, office buildings, shopping centers, luxury condos. I've built half of downtown Providence's skyline over the last 20 years. He gestured vaguely toward the window. The building 3 blocks from here? Mine. The hotel across the street? Mine. The parking structure where I parked my Bentley this morning? Also mine. Caprio's eyes remained steady. Ashford continued, almost theatrically. I'm not just a property owner. I'm an economic engine for this city. When I build a project, it creates hundreds of construction jobs. When I lease space, it generates tax revenue that pays for schools, roads, police, courts. People like me keep cities like Providence running. Caprio's expression hardened, just enough to make Ashford pause mid-sentence. People like you, business leaders, developers, entrepreneurs, the people who take risks, create jobs, generate wealth. We're the ones who make everything else possible. I see. And where do people like me fit into your worldview, Mr. Ashford? Ashford realized too late he had crossed into dangerous territory, but his ego refused to retreat. Your Honor, I didn't mean any disrespect. I'm just saying there's a hierarchy to society. Some people create value, and some maintain systems. Both are necessary, but one is more economically vital than the other. Caprio leaned forward slightly. So, judges maintain systems, and billionaires create value. In simplest terms, yes, you enforce laws that people like me operate within. A tense silence filled the courtroom as Ashford's words hung in the air, his entitlement clashing with the unwavering authority before him, setting the stage for the most humbling lesson of his life. It's complimentary, not competitive, Judge Caprio said, his voice dropping to just above a whisper, calm but razor-sharp. Mr. Ashford, would you say I work for you? Richard hesitated, sensing the trap, but his ego pushed him forward. In a philosophical sense, yes. My taxes pay your salary. The economic activity my company generates funds the court system. So, in that framework, you could say public servants serve taxpayers. And I'm one of the largest taxpayers in Rhode Island. The courtroom went utterly silent. Every eye was on them. Every breath seemed held. Judge Caprio tilted his head slightly. So, because you pay substantial taxes, you believe I serve you? I believe we have a transactional relationship, Ashford replied confidently. I contribute to the system financially. The system provides services, law enforcement, courts, infrastructure. You're part of that service infrastructure. Caprio's eyes narrowed slightly, deliberate. Service infrastructure, an interesting term for the judicial branch of government. Ashford leaned back, trying to maintain control. Your Honor, I'm not trying to offend. I'm stating how the world works. Money funds everything. Without taxpayers like me, there's no court system, no judges, no bailiffs, no public defenders. None of it exists without people creating wealth and paying into the system. So we should be grateful. Caprio's stare was unwavering. I didn't say that, but that's what you meant. That judges, police officers, teachers, all public servants should be grateful that wealthy taxpayers like you allow us to exist. Ashford's face flushed. You're twisting my words. I'm simply stating economic reality. Wealth creation enables public services. That's basic economics. And then he said it, the sentence that would seal his fate. Look, Your Honor, I don't mean to be rude, but I own people like you. I own the buildings you work in. I own the roads you drive on. I own the economy that makes your salary possible. So, can we just finish this transaction so I can get back to actually creating value? For a long, tense 5 seconds, Judge Caprio said nothing, just stared at Ashford with a quiet, penetrating expression, an almost supernatural calm that could freeze fire. Then, in a voice so quiet it carried like thunder, he said, Mr. Ashford, did you just tell me you own me? Richard's confident facade shattered. I didn't mean it literally. I meant economically. Caprio's eyes bore into him. You said, and I quote, I own people like you. There's no economic interpretation for that statement in this courtroom. The silence was deafening. Every person in the gallery felt the weight of the moment. In Judge Caprio's courtroom, arrogance, entitlement, and wealth do not grant immunity. That makes that acceptable. Ashford stammered, trying to recover. Your Honor, I apologize if that came out wrong. I was just trying to illustrate. You were trying to remind me that you're rich and I'm not, that I create value and you merely maintain systems, that you own buildings and I merely work in them, that your time is worth $200 per minute and mine is apparently worthless. Judge Caprio leaned forward, voice calm but cutting like a blade. That's not what I said. Let me tell you something, Mr. Ashford. I've been a judge for over 30 years. I've seen billionaires and broke college students, corporate executives, and homeless veterans. And you know what I've learned? Money doesn't determine character. Power doesn't create wisdom. Wealth absolutely does not buy respect. Ashford's face paled. Your Honor, I sincerely apologize. I was out of line. Caprio's eyes locked on him, unyielding. You were more than out of line. You were contemptuous. You walked into this courtroom believing your $1.8 billion exempts you from basic human decency. You treated this hearing like a business transaction you could buy your way out of. And when I didn't immediately bow to your financial superiority, you told me you own me. Ashford's mouth snapped shut. Judge Caprio typed slowly at his computer. The silence in the courtroom, so intense you could hear a pin drop. Mr. Ashford, the standard fine for running a red light is $85. That's what you expected. But we are not in a standard situation anymore. He paused, eyes blazing with quiet authority. Under Rhode Island General Law 813, judges may enhance penalties when a defendant shows contempt for judicial authority or demonstrates a disregard for public safety and the rule of law. Your behavior today has been textbook contempt. You referred to court proceedings as theater. You attempted to expedite justice by offering to overpay. You claimed your time is more valuable than court time. You suggested public servants exist only because wealthy people allow them to exist. And finally, you told a sitting judge that you own him. Ashford's hands trembled. Your Honor, I'll pay any fine. I'll donate to any cause, just please. Caprio's gaze swept the courtroom. Your fine for the red light violation is increased from $85 to $5,000. A collective gasp erupted in the room. Richard's face went white. $5,000 for a red light camera capture, 1.3 seconds late. The lesson was as clear as it was crushing. In Judge Caprio's courtroom, humility is earned, entitlement is punished, and money will never outweigh character. $4, $9.15 for contempt of court? That's insane. Richard Ashford blurted, voice rising. You can't charge me $5,000 for speaking honestly about economics. Judge Caprio's calm intensity filled the room. I'm not charging you for speaking honestly, Mr. Ashford. I'm charging you for contempt, treating this court like a business transaction, suggesting money exempts you from respect, and telling me, a sitting judge, that you own me. Ashford shot back, flustered. I apologize for that. I said it came out wrong. Caprio's gaze didn't waver. You apologized only after seeing my reaction. That is not remorse. That is damage control. This is not punishment. It is accountability. And please do appeal. I encourage it. Every appellate court in Rhode Island will review the video of you saying, I own people like you. I am confident they will uphold this ruling. Richard, grasping for leverage, leaned forward. Your Honor, I employ 2,000 people. I run a company. I have investors, clients, obligations. Caprio cut him off, voice firm and measured. And I run a courtroom with rules that apply equally to everyone, billionaire or broke, real estate mogul or unemployed single parent. In this room, your $1.8 billion means nothing. But, Mr. Ashford, I am going to do something else. Something I rarely do. I'm going to teach you a lesson your money apparently hasn't taught you. He typed a few deliberate notes. In addition to the $5,000 fine, you are ordered to complete 50 hours of community service. Ashford's jaw dropped. Community service? I'm a CEO. I don't have time for that. Caprio's eyes narrowed. You told me your time is worth $200 a minute. 50 hours equals $600,000 in value. Consider it a donation to the community you claim to support. Ashford's face went pale with rage. Where exactly am I supposed to do this community service? Judge Caprio's voice remained steady, unflinching. You will serve at the Providence Community Kitchen. You will work in the kitchen, serve meals to homeless individuals and low-income families, clean dishes, take out trash, whatever is needed. You are a man who clearly has never noticed the struggles of others. Maybe spending 50 hours serving people who struggle to afford meals will teach you that human value isn't measured in dollars. Ashford sputtered, humiliated. This is humiliating. Caprio's voice rang out, calm but unrelenting. No, Mr. Ashford. This is accountability. He signaled the clerk. You have 30 days to pay the $5,000 fine. The courtroom sat in stunned silence, witnessing a billionaire humbled not by wealth, but by justice. You have 90 days to complete your 50 hours of community service. Failure to comply will result in a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand? Judge Caprio's voice left no room for argument. Richard Ashford, usually brimming with confidence, could barely manage a whisper. Yes, Your Honor. Caprio continued, his tone calm but cutting. And Mr. Ashford, one more thing. You mentioned that you own the building 3 blocks from here, and the parking structure where you park your Bentley. You implied that property ownership gives you special status in this city. Let me tell you what you do not own. Justice, respect, the rule of law, or the people who dedicate their lives to public service. I grew up in a working-class neighborhood. My father was a janitor. My mother cleaned houses. They taught me a person's worth is measured not by their bank account, but by their character. Your character today was lacking. Richard nodded, humiliated, unable to meet anyone's gaze. You're dismissed. I suggest you get to your Dubai investors meeting, Caprio added, with a wry edge. Though I imagine it'll be hard to focus knowing you're $5,000 poorer and facing 50 hours washing dishes. Richard left the courtroom, head bowed, past rows of spectators, some smirking, some satisfied, all witnessing a billionaire humbled by accountability rather than fear. Outside, he called his lawyer, yelling about appealing the ruling. The lawyer calmly pulled up the courtroom video, replayed Ashford's infamous line, I own people like you, and replied, Richard, if you appeal this, every news outlet in America will cover it. You'll become the poster child for entitled billionaires. Pay the fine. Do the service. Never speak to a judge like that again. 3 weeks later, Richard appeared at Providence Community Kitchen for his first shift, dressed in jeans and a polo, still expensive, but modest in contrast to his usual suit. Maria, the 62-year-old kitchen manager who had run the facility for 2 decades, sized him up. You're the billionaire the judge sent? She asked. Yes, ma'am, he admitted. Ever worked in a kitchen before? No, ma'am. Then you'll be on dishes. Follow me. For 4 grueling hours, Richard scrubbed pots, washed endless stacks of plates, emptied trash, and labored alongside staff, while hundreds of people, families, veterans, elderly, struggling individuals, filed through. Their quiet resilience and need a stark reminder of the real world outside his luxury towers. During a short break, he sat on the curb, hands wrinkled from water, back aching, staring at people he might have passed a dozen times, without a second thought, finally confronting the truth. Human worth cannot be measured in dollars, and humility is learned, not inherited.